So we're back onto the Geo today, and we've got an oil leak down in there. I'm pretty sure I have a good feeling. I know where it's coming from. So I'm going to try to get this tore down and cleaned up and make sure that it's what I think it is. So there's been a situation going on here for a while, because as you can see, that belt is ate into that cover. That's been rubbing for a long time. I've known about it, but didn't really feel like tearing into it to see what was going on. And I got all the belts and stuff off. I'm gonna get this timing belt cover off there now. So as you can see down in here, after I got that crank pulley off, it is just clear full of gunk and everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting this cover off. I'm almost positive that it is the crank or the camshaft seal up top leaking. So I got that cover off there. Man, it's grungy in there. But as I suspected, I'm almost positive that oil's coming from that seal behind the pulley because everything is coated. So I used some parts cleaner and brake cleaner and the air hose and got this all cleaned up in here pretty good. In theory, as long as I plug those tranny lines off or connect them to each other, I should be able to fire this up, though everything else was accessory drive. Not for very long without the water pump and everything, but long enough to probably figure out where my oil is coming from. Well, I don't think that's right. That timing belt shouldn't have slid off like that. Something's going on there. I thought, it's kind of hard to see. Right there you can see it's shiny around that seal. And I had that all cleaned off and dry. Right in there. You can see it kind of reflecting. And then, right there you can see the new oil starting to run down the bottom of that seal. So that's where the oil was coming from. So I'll have to find out if I can get some parts and we'll get that changed. Upon further investigation, it actually turns out that the crankshaft seal is leaking as well. So I will be tearing this apart and changing both of those. So I just got done removing this cooling fan that was right there in front of the AC condenser. It used to run whenever you turn it on, and I noticed that it quit, and I pulled it off and found that it actually locked up and came through the fan blades. I have a little 12 volt one, I think it's like a 10-inch, that I'm going to go ahead and just put on here and hook to the original wires, because when you turn the AC on, it does kick on. So this here's the fan that I had. It was a spare from whenever I replaced one on a four-wheeler. It's smaller than the one that was on it, but I think it'll work. It's better than nothing. I'm going to go ahead and cut the pigtail off the other one, attach it to this so it'll attach right into the factory wiring. So these aftermarket fans, to attach them, they just come with these zip tie like things, and you just shove it through the core, and then it's got this little retaining clip, and you just add the spring, and that, and pull it tight, and that's what holds it. After you get it in there, just clip these off. And everything is wired up like it's supposed to be. Keys on, fans not on. Turn on the air conditioner. It's blowing. So before you go through the trouble of crimping and shrinking the wires, make sure the fan's going the right direction, because it needs to be blowing towards the engine, and the way that the wires came to match, it was sucking air through. So I've got to switch these. I got my new timing belt. my camshaft, crankshaft seals, new tensioner, pulley, new water pump, and gasket. They all came. So right now I got my timing marks lined up. There's an E up here. You gotta line up with that. And down here on the crankshaft pulley, there's a little dot. And in here, right here, there's a little indicator. You line it up with that. And take the crank bolt and camshaft bolt loose, and then loosen up the stud that holds the tensioner and the bolt, and the belt will come off. And that's what I'm going to do now. I got all that stuff out of the way. And down in here on this crankshaft seal, if you look at it, it's not even pressed all the way in the case. It's about halfway out. And that pulley slid right off there. It was just completely covered in oil, which was a good thing for me. And you can see where that one is just seeping oil clear out around it. And while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and throw a new water pump on it as well. So I'm going to get that took off and changed. So I'm just going to take a little bit of Scotch-Brite and some brake cleaner and clean up this gasket surface here. So on this camshaft seal, I'm just going to very carefully try to put a metal screw into it, a sheet metal screw. And then get a hold of it with some vice grips and pop it out. And just like that, there's your camshaft seal. Then to install it, you just get you a nice socket. This is 1 3/8. It fits it good. I decided to put just a little bit of grease on this so I don't gall it up. And just like that, there's your camshaft seal. As for the water pump, I like to just put just a wee little dab of grease to hold the gasket into place. That's just what I do. I don't know if it's right, but this crankshaft pulley is actually loose enough, or the seal, I can move it with the tip of my finger. I'm just going to get in here with a pick and pull it out. And there's the old crankshaft seal. Again on that, a little bit of grease on the seal, socket. And there you are, crankshaft seal installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide this belt on here now. I cleaned all these pulleys up really good with brake clean and made sure I got all the old oil off of them so this belt isn't sliding around. I went ahead and got everything torqued back down to spec and got the tensioner all put on and the belt tensioned up. I guess I'm gonna look it over real quick and then I'm gonna try to fire it up and see what happens. So I'm gonna try to fire it up and see if everything flies apart or not. And that belt tried to slide clear off again. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm guessing the crank pulley holds it back, keeps it from doing that. I'll have to get the cover on it. I'll get it slid back on there and have to get the cover on it and see what happens from there. As I was messing around here, I figured out that this fan clutch is bad, and as big of a pain as it kind of is to get in there and tear everything apart, I decided to go ahead and replace it anyhow. So I'm going to get that changed over. And just like that, it's changed. So I just got my new timing belt cover. Got that on eBay, of course. I'm going to go ahead and start finishing up, putting this all back together so we can run her down the road again. This job would have been 10 times easier if I would have removed this AC condenser, but the AC in this thing actually does work, and I did not want to split the lines because my luck I'd never get it sealed back up. No, this is not windshield washer fluid. I actually drained the antifreeze and saved it. Got some antifreeze in it. Let's fire it up and see what happens. Well, other than what I've spilled, so far so good. The new timing cover looks really good on there. Everything's running in order. Have to let it warm up and get the thermostat to open so we can top it off with antifreeze. Well, since there's no antifreeze pouring out the bottom of it, I'm going to go ahead and throw this thing back together while I'm waiting on it to get warm. And because I'm going to drive this thing to work tomorrow. There it is. That's the camshaft and crankshaft seal replacement on the Geo Trucker. So if you guys like videos like this, I'm going to try to do weekly video drops. You guys know what to do.